We have all been there. Or perhaps you are there right now. You are devoting your energy, your time, and your emotional bandwidth to someone who gives you crumbs in return. They are inconsistent. They are emotionally unavailable. They may have explicitly told you they aren't looking for anything serious, yet instead of walking away, you find yourself trying harder. You analyze their texts, you adjust your schedule to fit theirs, and you live in a constant state of hope that, eventually, they will see your worth and choose you. It is a painful, exhausting paradox. Why do we, as intelligent, self-respecting human beings, feel the most intense pull toward the people who are the least available to us? Why does rejection often act not as a deterrent, but as an accelerant for our affection? Today, we're going to unpack this. We aren't just going to talk about attachment styles in the clinical sense. We are going to look at the raw psychology of the ego, the biology of the brain, and the deep-seated needs that drive us to chase those who are running away. This isn't about pathologizing your feelings. It is about understanding the mechanism behind the chase so you can finally stop running on this emotional treadmill and start walking toward a love that is actually meant for you. To understand the chase, we must first understand what is happening in your brain. When you like someone and they are consistently warm and reciprocating, your brain releases feel-good chemicals like oxytocin and dopamine. You feel safe, secure, and happy. However, when you like someone who is inconsistent, someone who gives you hot and cold signals, something fascinating happens. Scientists call this intermittent reinforcement. Think of a slot machine. If a gambler put a coin in a slot machine and it paid out every single time, they might enjoy it. But if the machine paid out randomly, sometimes 3 times in a row, and then nothing for 50 tries, the gambler becomes obsessed. When the unavailable person texts you after 3 days of silence, the relief and the dopamine spike you feel is astronomically higher than if they texted you every day. You aren't just addicted to them, you are addicted to the uncertainty and the eventual rare reward of their attention. The chase becomes a biological compulsion. Your brain is screaming, "I need another hit of that validation," and the only person who can provide it is the one withholding it. In this scenario, you aren't pursuing love, you are in the throes of withdrawal. Beyond the chemical cocktail in your brain, there is a powerful force at play: your ego. From a young age, we are conditioned to believe that effort equals reward. If we study hard, we get good grades. If we work out, we get fit. We apply this same logic to dating. If I am kind enough, patient enough, and loving enough, I can change the outcome. When someone rejects us or is lukewarm toward us, our ego takes it as a challenge. It is a direct assault on our self-perception. The subconscious thought process is often, "I am a desirable person. If this person is not desiring me, there must be a flaw in my approach that I need to correct." We begin to view their lack of interest not as a fundamental incompatibility, but as a puzzle to be solved. The pursuit becomes less about the actual person, who may not even be that great when you look closely, and more about proving that we are lovable enough to win them over. We want the validation of the victory. We mistakenly believe that changing their mind about us will fix how we feel about ourselves. The chase is a desperate attempt to protect our self-esteem from the perceived failure of rejection. Perhaps the most profound reason we chase unavailable people lies in the shadows of our past. Psychologists often find that our romantic choices are influenced by our earliest relationships, usually with our caregivers. If you grew up in an environment where love was conditional, where you had to perform a certain way to receive affection, or where a caregiver was emotionally distant or inconsistent, that dynamic feels like home to you. As adults, we subconsciously seek out partners who recreate the emotional climate of our childhood. We are drawn to the familiar, even if the familiar is painful. Therefore, the unavailable person feels deeply attractive to you because they unconsciously represent a need from your past that is still trying to be met. You are trying to go back in time and force that caregiver, now represented by your crush, to finally love you in the way you needed. You aren't chasing a future with this new person, you are trying to heal a wound from the past. But you cannot heal a new wound with an old poison. You are unknowingly seeking the same rejection that hurt you originally, hoping that this time you can change the ending. Finally, we must address the greatest trick the chasing mind plays on itself, the elevation of the fantasy over the reality. When you pursue someone who is available, you have to deal with the complexities of real life. You have to deal with their flaws, their bad days, and the reality of building a partnership. When you chase someone who doesn't love you back, you don't have to deal with reality. You are in a relationship with your own imagination. You fall in love with their potential, not their actuality. You fill in their silences with the words you want to hear. You interpret their vagueness as profound depth. The chase allows you to live in a fantasy world where everything is perfect if only they would commit. The person becomes a pedestal upon which you place all your hopes and dreams. The heartbreak of unrequited love is rarely heartbreak over the actual loss of the person. It is heartbreak over the loss of the future you invented in your head. When you finally realize they aren't coming down off that pedestal, you're forced to confront the boring, often difficult reality of the present moment. So, how do you stop? How do you break this cycle? It begins with a radical shift in perspective. You must stop viewing their rejection as a reflection of your worth and start viewing it as a reflection of their capacity. It is not that you are not enough, it is that they are not capable of meeting you where you are. You have to take them off the pedestal and look at the reality of how they treat you. If a friend treated you this way, you would tell that friend to run. Realizing that you deserve someone who chooses you freely, enthusiastically, and without you having to beg for scraps is the hardest work you will do, but it is the most necessary work. Stop trying to convince someone of your value. When you chase, you are communicating that you are operating from a place of scarcity, believing this is the best you can get. Begin the journey of turning that chase inward. Pursue your own passions, chase your own healing, chase the goals that make you proud. When you become the center of your own universe, you stop begging to be a satellite in someone else's orbit. Let the wrong ones go. Create space, and trust that by stopping the chase, you are finally making room for the right love to find you.